Okay. Why so serious? Well, listen, I had a feeling he might wear brown. This is not that we spoke about it. I lucked up. A couple of pieces of housekeeping before we get started. First of all, I was with a good friend of ours, a mentor to me and a mentor to him, and someone that was his boss, the great Sonny Rollins, this afternoon, and who lives in Woodstock, and he's told me to tell you all hello. And he says, holler at Sonny Rollins. Sonny says, holler at Ron Carter. So, hello, Ron. But also, he wanted you guys to know that, you know, Ron Carter's been great for a long time. They're late learning about how great Ron Carter is. So he wanted you to know that he's been great for a long time. And he was saying he's very happy that he's getting the recognition that he hasn't gotten. So that was his words to you.
Thank you.
And the other thing, there's a new disc, a new album coming up by Mr. Carter, and it's going to be called Sweet, Sweet Spirit. And it's a fusing of jazz and gospel with Ricky Dillard, and songs that he no doubt sang and performed or was there for as a youth, which was a couple years ago. But you must buy them or we will find you. We know your address, phone number, text you. But anyway, having said that, one more round of applause for someone I'm very happy that here is the great Ron Carter. Just want to say, when I got to New York some years ago, I was working with the great Art Blakey, and I got an opportunity to see Ron Carter in so many different situations in New York City. And I said, wow, I just hope I'm lucky enough to, number one, play with him, but secondly, to have some type of relationship with him, because I just looked at him as the ultimate professional. And so I'm very fortunate to have your friendship, hopefully.
Yes.
And it's an honor to watch someone who has been so committed to the art form and who does not lower the standard ever. So it's a privilege for me, and so I'd love to get down to some conversation with you.
That's it.
So, your humble beginnings, of course, you might know, were Detroit, Michigan. And just kind of curious about your upbringing, and we've talked, offline about the incredible family that you grew up around. If you could maybe share a little bit about that time of your life.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for being here. It's not sun shining out. There are two palm trees that are back inside where they belong. And I'm enjoying company with Javon Jackson, who I've known for years, and it's nice to see that he's ready to carry the flag full time. Thank you, Javon.
Thank you.
I'm from a large family of a brother and 6 sisters. Yeah. You should have been there. and one of the things we learned during those days, my birth year is 1937, for those of you who haven't gotten past 2000. 1937. And during those days, the society was even less kind to people of color than they are today. And one of the things my father instilled in all of us was that those people who think you're not deserving of wherever you think you belong, they really don't know you. And if you have a job on this planet, one of them is to make sure they understand that you are you. And you determined what you'll be noted for. You will determine the standard that someone who looks like you can carry. Right now I have 3 grandsons who are carrying my flag admirably. I get so excited when I see them and hear them talk and have a vocabulary and have an interest in life around them. And I'm pleased to say that my wife and I have been instrumental in helping them see the world through some older eyes. These are not Irish eyes, but they are smiling. You all know that song? Okay. Non-Irish eyes are smiling. One of the things we all learned at that age was the responsibilities we have to our fellow person, sorry. And one of the things several things that always happened in my house was that when the first snow came, and we're from Michigan, snow would be this high in a half hour. When the first snow fell, my brother and I would take our shovels and start shoveling houses through the neighborhood. We didn't just do our house, we did the house, 2 houses down, one across the street, one back here, and 2 here. When it came time to mow the lawns, my brother and I took turns. I'd mow this lawn, he'd mow that lawn. I'd mow this lawn, he'd mow those 2. That was our community, that was our lock into our community. The parents knew where every other kid was. So if you did something that was not uncool or too late, my mother knew about it before I did. Neighbors shared information. There's a story about it takes a village. Well, it takes a small town too. And our town remained small because the people in the neighborhood around us didn't want it to get bigger. So they enacted a set of rules that limited our participation in the things that made life easier for communities. Like the word incorporated. They had a rule that wouldn't allow our community to become incorporated, so we missed all of the benefits of an incorporated community. My father wouldn't let that stop us. I'm from a family of 8 kids, and 7 of them had degrees. 3 of them retired from community service, working for the city in various high-end employment. 4 of them retired from the service, the United States Army and Navy. So we're stamped out by his determination to let us not accept other people's view of us. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I still carry that burden. I still have a chip on this shoulder. Now, this is worn out. But now the chip is it's right here. You know? And I'm not afraid to say that out loud. But, you know, I think our musical discovery of ourselves was led by my father, who, when he found he was allowed to get a job that wasn't demeaning, one of the things that they told him, if you wanted to work in Detroit, you had to move to Detroit. So we moved like this far, from my home to Detroit. And one of the things we would do when he got in from work was have us play. So one sister played viola, one played violin, one played flute and piano, and I was a cello player. We would play these songs that he knew, and the current semi-pop tunes. And my sister really played well. They sang well. So that was the first view of me being understanding in a community that was just my personal community. Understand what my father saw in us individually as well as collectively, to see what kind of music we could make all at the same time with no fussing, no who's turning to do the dishes, you know, who's taking out the trash this week. No, we just played some wonderful music because my father insisted on having that as part of our experience. One of the things this new record that's coming out in January puts on the table is the fact that most jazz players who are now in my age category also went to church. We were there before Aretha Franklin and Mahalia Jackson and Ray Charles, Ricky. We were all there for a long time. At age 47, I was going to church twice a week just for the choir. You know? If you can go back that far, 47 from now, a lot of singing, a lot of churches, a lot of choruses, a lot of songs. And what this record brought to my mind of this called Sweet, Sweet Spirit is that at my age, I finally was forced to sit down and understand what were those words of lyric we were mimicking for all these years as a 12-year-old. And as I listened to those songs back from the recording session and sharing my feelings with musicians in the choir and the band, I realized those songs from the day were our hope. The lyrics of those songs are telling us there's another world waiting for us. There are people who we didn't know were a person who knew our value. And these songs were instructing us to do three things. Number one, love ourselves. Number two, take someone with you. And three, we all have some kind of very necessary value to ourselves and to our community. These are the bedrock principles that I grew up listening to when I was 10, 11, and 12. And again, to this day, I still carry those. I accept the responsibility. I'm pretty good at it as a bass player. I tell all you guys that the bass player is really in charge. You're just hanging around. You know? Is that for me or for John Bond? We'll share it. But I'm still in charge.
Well, no, for the record, I always say the bass is the heartbeat. No question. No bass, no heartbeat. So I've always believed that. Saxophone is with the close, horn players.
Close. It's nice to see Javon being head of a program, though he can spread this word and this community feeling that bands generally have about their presence. But my father made a guitar of a cigar box, a stick for a neck, and some rubber bands. He was determined to be a part of this environment that he was creating. Along the way, I was picked up the cello when the person came into our community and said that, children, I'm going to start an orchestra. And while no one knew really what that was, she showed us a table that had these instruments spread out, and she said, okay, children, go ahead and pick one of these that you want to spend some time with and you want to get in love with. Well, the cello caught my attention, and for all those years, up until I was 18, I was a cello player. If you go back to my history, you will find articles in something called a newspaper. Yeah, newspapers. You know that it's like this. And you do this, there are different words. Isn't that amazing? In any event, I was touted as a highly respected, very talented young person of color who had a great future as a major cellist. That's what they said. Nothing. Okay. Well, I'm in high school now, and I noticed that the PTA meetings, the conventions, would always hire musicians from the local high schools to play background music. We call it wallpaper music. And after 4 or 5 of these events came by for my last senior year, somehow I never got the call, and I was insulted. I had reputation, I had the ink, I had the medals, that I was a quality player. Now, my father was a very good mathematician. We understood angles and depths of drawing and characters, and I realized through his vision that 1 from 1 is 0. And when the bass player retired, there was a 0. The new non-zero. So I asked my parents, I want to change the instruments, and they agreed to borrow some money and got bought a bass on time. Took some lessons and got to start playing string bass. The spring of 1955, my last year at Cass Tech. The spring of 1955, they were having auditions for the Eastman School of Music. And the cellist, who was George McKell, who was the principal cellist in Detroit at that time, heard me audition. He said that I asked him the talent, would I accept a scholarship to the Eastman School of Music? I said, where is it? He said, well, it's in Rochester, New York. I said, well, I guess it's okay to ask my folks if it's all right. And they said, well, that's your path. I went from Cass Tech to Eastman School of Music as a bassist. learning how to be a part of a new environment of a lot of good cello players, a lot of good bass players, a lot of good orchestral players, and only one or two people of color. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I got a little gigs. My friend was a neighbor, was playing for the dancers for the weekend for the sororities and fraternities of Detroit, and said that he was going to put together a band, and could I help him? I said, well, I don't know the line very. I know what it sounds like, but I need some serious help. So he gave me a record of Dave Brubeck playing Charlie song. He said, listen to Paul Desmond, who's a saxophone player, and see if you can figure out what chords they're playing. So I did. I said, is that it? He said, what's that? I can do that, man. I mean, just playing the quarter notes and picking the notes. I mean, is that it? He said, no, it's a little more complicated, but spend some time and you'll see how more complicated it is. I finally discovered that 2 days ago, how complicated it is to do that. and I'm still figuring out another way to find the right notes, which is the theme of this picture you will soon see, finding the right notes. You know, one of the things, actually in my age group, I'm asked 3 questions all the time. Number 1, what's it like playing with Miles Davis? Number 2, do I really mean that? And 3, why do I keep doing this? Okay, well, the first one is personal. The second one is at number 1. And number 3 is I've determined that I understand the responsibility that I have as a bass player to groups. And my job with these groups is to help them get better. To make that work, I have to be daring in what I'm hearing and trying to find the right notes and the right rhythm to steer them in the direction that I think that's, for the moment, better for them as to where they're headed. I hope that they trust my judgment and they understand that I am not afraid to experiment and accept the responsibility of getting better. I go to work every night knowing that this is one more chance to play good. See, number 1, and another chance to find notes to make these guys go like this. When they do that, they are mine.
Amen, and that's a fact. Well, I know one thing you've probably never been asked. Can I have that scarf?
As a matter of fact, someone just asked to come in the door with it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I said, this is our scarf. Not mine, ours.
No, but to the last statement about being professional, and that every time he approaches a piece of music, he takes it in that moment and he incorporates his musical environment. I've been in the studio where, and Ron is from that school of musicians that you don't get multiple takes. You usually get 1, maybe 2. So you better have your best rendition and take 1 or 2. But my point is, almost every situation, no matter how fast, no matter how slow, you could play a week with him every night. The music's gonna go a different way because it's a different night. So I can attest to that. The first time I got an opportunity to play at the Village Vanguard as a leader, I went to the owner and I asked Lorraine Gordon, I said, I'd like to play the Village Vanguard. She said, who's in your band? And I mentioned some names. He said, no, go get me some names. That's how it works. So anyway, I had met Mr. Carter at that time, and I reached out to him and asked him if he'd be willing to play at the Village Vanguard with me. He said, who else is in the group? I mentioned Louis Nash and Kenny Barron. He said, good. I said, how much do you want? He said, it's not important. You probably can't afford me. Just do the best you can. True story. So anyway, we start the first night, and we have a selection of songs. He said, pick 8 to 10 tunes, and we can develop those throughout the week. So the first night, and by the way, I did used to play with Art Blakey and Freddie Hubbard, and God rest their souls, but they weren't as punctual That's Mr. Carter. So we would start at 9:30, and I would show up about maybe 9:21 the first night. So he was there, and so the second night, no, we never got to the second night. Here's what he said after the first set. He says, hey, you dress pretty good. He said, but your punctuality is not good. So I'm gonna do you a favor. I am gonna be here tomorrow at 8:30, and if you're not here at 8:29, I'm gonna go home. True story.
And I'm in it.
Yes, he did. And so the next night, he would get there so early, his car would be at the front. So I said, I'm gonna get there at 8:15. I'll show him that I can be early. So I got there at 8:15, and the bartender was Mick. God rest his soul at that time. I said, Mick, when Mr. Carter gets here, just let him know I'm here. He said, he's already here. So that was his way of letting me know that as a leader, there's a different responsibility. And regardless of what you might see elsewhere, this is the standard. And so I always appreciate that, and things have been different for me since. And I was here at 5 o'clock, just in case. I didn't want them to go home on you all. So anyway, that has been the kind of ringing thoughts with any professional you talk about with Ron Carter. He takes the music seriously, and as tough as he might be on some of us, I dare say he's tougher on himself. Is that fair?
Yes.
So with that, I would like to talk about you got to Rochester, and obviously you were experiencing success, and I guess at that point, did you decide you'd go to New York? What was that? What was the determination there to go to New York City?
Well, I think while I was in Rochester at that time, I was in the house band at a place called the Ridgecrest Inn, just outside the boundaries of Rochester, New York. And this jazz club would bring in jazz acts every week. And I had a chance to be in a house band who heard them and played opposite them during the course of their week. Sometimes they would come in as a single, like Sonny Stitt came in, and Slim Gaylor came by himself a couple of times. So
Wow.
I had a chance to really be involved in that environment. Also hear groups with their various concepts, Carmen McRae's group, Cannonball's group, the early Horace Silver Band, to see what kind of environment these guys brought with them to the Blues Vanguard, to the Ridgecrest Inn in Rochester. And I was there for a year or so, and at some point, Sam Jones asked me what were my plans. I said, well, I've got 6 more months in school and I'm going to graduate. He said, well, New York always needs a good bass player. You come to New York and try out for New York. I said, well, I'm not sure what try out means, but I think my skill level is pretty where it belongs. So, okay. So I graduated from Rochester School of Music at June, and I was in New York August of 1959. And went on to Birdland one night to see Chico Hamlin, who I met earlier in my Rochester stay, and he said, well, he talked in Rochester, New York, and the cello player was going to leave to go back to California, LA, and he didn't want to quit the band, but the bass player is going back to Seattle. And Wyatt Drew said, can you play the bass chair? I said, times 2? Because I meant double bass, Chico, I said, oh, please. So I said, yes, I'll do the gig. So I traveled. I didn't go back to Manhattan for a master's until the spring of 1960. And I went on the road with Chico Hamilton for 4 months with Eric Dolphy, then his brother Mayor Chico, and then Gershwin, the cellist, who was a really wonderful player, for 4 months. And then Chico decided to stay in New York. Eric Dolphy moved to New York. Wyatt moved back to Seattle. I'm in New York now with a one-room apartment with my new wife, and get to New York to try to see if I can make it. Here I am talking to Javon Jackson. Evidently I did pretty good.
I think you did pretty good. The one incredible things I wanted to talk to him about at that time, a lot of musicians here probably can't, I know I can't think of the concept of playing a venue for 6 weeks, where you really develop material, you develop yourself with a group of musicians if you're working with a group. Can you talk about that kind of experience when you play in a venue every night in multiple sets, working on a set of material?
Well, I think one of the things that the newer generation has not had a chance to experience so their environment has changed around them. You mentioned Sonny Rollins, 1962 or so, when the club had moved to the newest band, from the fast spot to the new fast spot down on 8th Street and 3rd Avenue. Sonny Rollins was making his name in the scene, tremendously so. And he got a gig at this place called Joe's Club and down the street from the old fast spot. He hired a band, bass and drums. And we worked 3 sets a night for 6 straight weeks. And I'm telling you, by the second week, me and Roy were on fire. And by the 3rd week, Sonny Rollins joined the fire. So for the next 4 weeks, all those guys who wanted to sit in because they had no piano player, and we were just 2 guys, they kind of changed their view, because the bandstand would be smoking after the first chorus of any song we played. That trio was really a foreseeing of the music that the music could take if these kind of guys, the 3 of us, found a way to work in New York enough times to spread this word about another approach to how to play this music. Sonny kept on going. He had a great record at the Vanguard with Wilbur Ware and Elvin Jones, and I joined Miles and Roy went to California and upset the Los Angeles film scene by playing so good. We did our share of making the world hear another sound. And I think if the new generation has the courage and determination to not be satisfied with a 2-set night for a week, and makes it known that they're ready to play and prepared to play with a library and a physical consistency in their performance level to a club and maybe take a little less money to play this room for 6 nights, to be surprised at 2 things. 1, how difficult it is, and 3, how the audience likes seeing these guys come back night after night to try to make the last night better than this current night.
That's right, that's right. And I want to, we have some clips here. Since we made that segue about Mr. Davis, could we play the first clip, which we have selected just behind us? Good. Let's give us.
Thank you.
You know, my conversation once or twice with great Tony Williams, God rest his soul, he always said that that group was the way it was because of you. And the group couldn't have been like that unless we had Ron Carter as bassist. So
thank you, Tony Williams, with you all.
And you know, it's very unique in the music. We have certain individuals that come along. Let's say at the drums, we have drummers here. Every drummer after Elvin Jones plays like Elvin Jones. Whether they know it or not, there's some Elvin Jones. Well, every bassist after Ron Carter has to shake hands with Ron Carter.
Thank you.
Kind of the way this works. And so it's a very unique position to be in when you have that kind of influence on an art form. And I know you've never taken the time to reflect on something like that, but it probably does you proud, especially your father, to know that all that hard work is leaving such a tremendous legacy and opportunity for others to touch Mr. Carter, or Sir Ron, as I call you.
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is when I first heard that I was that kind of influence, I didn't really think they were really talking about me. I understand the implications of the kind of history behind a name and an influence. And I try to be gracious in accepting the intent of those comments. But I still have a difficult time, Javon, getting to the fact that I'm hearing from people 25, 30 years ago, 2 days ago, who tell me how my presence in their life as either a teacher at City College or a little jam session downtown at a store, or how my presence in their life just changed their life tremendously, and they don't mind carrying this memory around with them for all this time until they saw me and or wrote me a letter to thank me for being in their life, and to know that I exerted that kind of unintentional influence is still kind of stunning to me. You know, I mean, I have to say this, I have to say the word I. And that kind of feels weird to me to talk about I, who have done this kind of thing, refers to me who has done this kind of thing, you know. And I'm not sure how to show my gratitude to people who would respond to these memories of my being in their life, other than to say a heartfelt thank you. And can they carry this version of how I helped them to be that same person for somebody else? You know, if that's the spin-off for me, helping them through a tough semester at school, or understanding how when you travel, how to plan a budget so you know how much to ask for from the boss. You know? Or if the gig is really terrible, just stop and think that you were equally terrible. You know, this kind of grown-up concept. If I can make them understand that someone else needs to hear that from them, like they heard it from me, I think my space on the planet is kind of guaranteed.
I love it. Well, you know, real quick story. I don't know if I can share this with you, but I was going to college at Berkeley College of Music, and I had an opportunity to sneak down to New York and audition for Art Blakey, which I snuck down, and I got hired. So I called my mother and father. I said, you know, Mom and Dad, I went down to New York and auditioned with Art Blakey. And she said, well, what are you doing going to New York? You're in college. Well, but I got hired by Art Blakey. Well, yeah, but you're in college to get an education degree. So I said, well, this is a chance of a lifetime. He said, so is the education. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, you know, it was a young 21-year-older with a quick lie. I'll tell you what, I'll go back and get it through correspondence. He said, good. She stayed on me. I'm touring Art Blakey, I'm all over the world. She says, you gave your word. So in correspondence through Berkeley, I got the degree because I had been there a couple of years, so I finished it. My mom was very happy. And I shared that story with Sir Ron, as I call him. He says, man, that's great. He said, now you got to get your master's. And I said, well, why do I need to get my master's? I was just trying to fulfill my mom's wishes. He said, you're going to teach one day. I said, no, I'm never going to teach. He said, yes, you will. I said, no, I won't. He said, yes, you will. So I went on and got the master's. because of him. About 10 years later, after that, I auditioned for a couple of opportunity, interviewed anyway, one at the University of Pittsburgh and the University of Hartford, the Jack McLean Institute of Jazz Studies, and I was a finalist of both, but the University of Hartford offered me the position. I called 3 people. I called him, I called Sonny Rollins, and I called Jimmy Heath. So called Sonny first. I said, Sonny, I got this opportunity to, because I'm living in New Jersey, I'm close to New York City, and I don't know what to do. And he said, one sentence, he said, we need guys on the inside. That was it. I called Sir Ron, and I said, I called Sonny. He said, what did Sonny say? He says, I said, Sonny said, we need guys on the inside. He said, well, I told you you'd be teaching. So you know my answer. He said, and also benefits are good. And I called Jimmy Heath. He said, take the gig, man. So, but my point is, he told me something and foresaw something that I didn't see in myself. And I trusted him when I thought, I said, no, I'm doing this master's. But he stayed on me. So the idea that sometimes people give you this information and ways to look at things and you have to just do it. Don't get to question it, just do it, and you'll come out on the other side better for it. So now I've been there 13 years. I can't believe at the University of Hartford as the chair. And to the point, I said, if I get the position, Sonny, will you come up? He came up. I said, Mr. Carter, will you come up? He came up, and Jimmy Heath. They all came up and did master classes. So that even helped pay it forward for those young people to get this kind of information firsthand. So yeah, you're have been that much individual to myself. We have another clip, and I want him to respond to this clip. Killing.
The bow tie is killing me.
I saw it. Stop there. Can I have the bow tie?
Let's think about it.
Well, I wanted to just take this moment to talk to you about some of the various pianists that you work with and maybe get a reflection. I wanted you to reflect a little bit about Hank Jones.
I call him Mr. Diamonds. Every note he plays is a special note, a special diamond that he has figured out what belongs where, how many carats is this diamond. Wow. And if you listen to him play, you hear him transpose, translate, transfer this gem of an idea he still discovered on the first chorus somewhere during the next 8 to 12 bars. His touch of the piano is so impeccable. And his respect for my note choices was very important for me. He came along at a time when bass players just played one note for each chord for 4 beats. And I'm kind of from a different generation where I see a note, a chord that has 3 physical names, physical letters for it, but I see notes that make these letters of FAC do something different than just play FAC. And Hank Jones didn't seem to be afraid of that. My job was to convince him that I could play and not do that. And we had a great relationship. I miss him dearly.
Just a giant, from a giant of a family too, Jones family. How about McCoy Tyner?
Ouch. I have a story. When I first met McCoy, when we were making records together, Rudy Van Gelder is a lovely place to record in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. If you've seen McCoy play, he's really a forceful pianist. He plays with a lot of force, a lot of energy. If you hear his records, they have the same kind of vitality, same kind of, I'm here, I'm the piano player. Well, the first couple of takes, I had gone far enough to accept that, So I said, McCoy, let's talk for a minute. But he thinks I've got some nice compliments for him. He's really revved up for a big smile, Yeah, Ron, what's up, man? I said, McCoy, let me talk for you a minute. Okay. We go outside, we got a lot of space, a lot of air, a lot of stuff to run around, I said, what brand of piano do you play? He said, a Steinway. And I'm thinking to myself, if he says that, he knows how to spell it. Steinway, S-T-E-I-N-W. But do me a favor. I said, yeah, what? Don't play past the S. So for 40 years, that was our joke. He said, hey, Ron, come to the S. No, not yet. Don't go down here. I own this. I want to continue to own it if you don't go there. And I loved him. We had some great times with some wonderful music with Joe Henderson and Orpheum, and just special stuff because the combination was, because we all wanted to play good with and for McCoy.
Right, because I think, I don't know how many are familiar with the real McCoy. That's it's like one of the books of the Bible. If you don't have that CD, then you got to get it.
Or Trident.
Trident, absolutely. How about Herbie Hancock?
I think he's one of the most misunderstood pianists. Honestly, they hear his variety of groups he's played with, but they haven't really heard him play. They haven't heard him warm up. His skill level is so past normal. It's past exceptional, just to what he warms up physically, The other thing that's special about him is that when I would play a note that maybe someone else wouldn't play, he didn't reject that note. He understood that I was going somewhere else from this space. His job to stop his personal thought and make my thought his next thought to make this work over here. And one of the reasons we played so well together is I was taking a chance that he would catch it. He's taking a chance that I'd play it again so he would mash my hands. And just a lovely man. I talked to him a month ago. My twin grandsons were going to his concert in Boston. and I need some tickets. So I called Herbie and said, my kids come down to see you. Can my grandkids get a ticket? He said yes. So they had a great reunion, and he's so pleased to see the third generation for me, you know. But he's a very special man, a very special talent, and a very special pianist. He's still here, and I love him every day.
John Lewis.
One of the first records I bought was John Lewis and the Modern Jazz Quartet. What he demonstrated to me was a good way to make a simple tune feel even less complicated, depending on how you voiced your chords. And I'm not sure if he understood what he was doing, other than he was really good at it. What I learned from him is that if I play the right note at the beginning of the measure, and I play it again, the next chorus, everyone knows that I mean that note. And their job is to make that note be even more valuable because we all know it's coming. His arrangements for the quartet were just spectacular. They were sparse, they had swing, they had the melody easy to understand and remember. He played some great solos after Mill Jackson played the blues. His solo lines are so clear and so articulate that the melody was still ringing in your ear based on his solo. And I thought that was a great way to acknowledge knowing the music and not just getting away on sweat and enthusiasm.
Yeah, just phenomenal. Now we have one more clip, and I want to get his reflection about the pianist first and then the drummer. So let's listen to watch the clip. Oh no, let's watch this, but this is not the person I want to talk about. You just spoke about him. Let's watch a little bit of this one. Well, I was just hoping.
After you hear that, you got to say, "How you like me now?"
I just wanted you to see the from the first clip with Miles to that same group, and how there was just a sense of simpatico, and they probably hadn't played together. That was the one night, special night at Blue Note for the was it the re-emergence of Blue Note?
Yeah.
And so to see that same trio again, I just wanted you to see the trio originally.
Yes.
And later. Now, can we play the next clip? And I'm sure this will be what we want to talk about.
I think the most important thing that came across for me in this recording was the feeling of the music. Yeah, I feel it's going to be a really, really important recording.
Tengo encuentro con músicos y con no músicos, con otros tipos de artistas, ingenieros, familia. En el caso de Jack, en el caso de Ron, personalidades que yo tuve la bendición de contar con ellos a muy temprana edad. Yo era muy joven. Aprendí muchísimo de él, sigo aprendiendo. Y esta es una manera de devolverle algo, es una manera de abrazarlos, de decirles a mí no se me olvida nada.
should be ashamed of myself stopping the track, but in the essence of time. But I wanted to get Ron to speak a little bit about Gonzalo.
You know, I'm listening to this for the first time since we made this disc, the film. They're going to Grammy for that record, actually. I'm almost embarrassed to say this out loud, but I can't believe I played that. And I'm listening to the concept and the notes of, did I really do that? What drove those thoughts? Why did I do that there? Why did I make Gonzalo do this? Why did I not like the stuff? And it just lets me remind me that how power the bass has and how much it controls the direction of anyone's music, depending on how comfortable the bass player is with his skill level, his knowledge of the tune, his daring for make the notes different than what they played last night, how his hands feel, how the bass sounds, and how much he thinks the band really cares what he's doing. If they care what he's doing, he can have a great time that night. That depends on a lot of factors. And to see this clip that I hadn't seen since recorded, I got away with murder, man. I'm ready to go to trial. Yes, Your Honor, I did that. Guilty as charged, happily, you know. But it's an amazing sight and amazing to see, to hear those things back after all this time. And yeah, I did that.
Well, you know, what's interesting about him, what's interesting about Gonzalo, I did a recording with you, I think it's called Mr. Bowtie, some years before that, and he spoke no English. So it's the music, which is the universal language, because he spoke no English on that recording I did. None. Not hello, it was...
Not bathroom, lunch.
Nothing.
Check, none of that.
So I don't remember having much conversation with him, but just nodding. So to see him, I know now he does speak more English than I speak Spanish. So, but also in that clip is someone that has lived in this area for quite some time.
Jack
has had a big influence community-wise and musically, and so we did want to get the opportunity, and Sonny was very moved by his loss as well. But I wanted to get Sir Ron to talk about his friend.
You just heard what he does. That's me talking for him. Jack DeJohnette. Thank you, Jack.
And I was explaining to Sonny, he didn't really realize that they were the house trio for CTI. Well, you were the house bass, I think Billy Cobham was on some, and you, and then the piano was either Bob James or Herbie, or maybe did Keith play on some of those things?
Yes.
But there was only you.
Yes.
There was no other.
My job. Yes.
So he was the house only bassist for CTI for a bunch of years.
If I wasn't available, that date didn't take place.
Right.
Thank you.
So I know we've been there a while. Is there anybody have any questions from the audience?
Not too difficult.
Oh, there's one right here.
Wait, let me get the microphone.
Okay, thank you.
Where was it?
Right here.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Pass it.
I'm just kidding.
Thanks for coming. Uh-oh.
It should be on.
I'll talk loud.
No, they can't hear you. Take mine.
Here. Oh. Okay, and I'll get
I'm honored to see you in person.
Thank you.
Again. There's been so many times that you've amazed me and surprised me. I can't go through it all, but one of the things that surprised me the most was seeing your acting performance on Treme. And I was wondering if you could share a little with us about how that came about and how it was for you to act. And have you ever done any other acting?
Well, I've been married 24 years, so I'm acting for a very long time. I'm really good at that. They had a jazz scene. They wanted someone who played the bass just in case they needed some more music. But one of the actors, whose name I forgot, who passed away past year, I think he took offense that I was getting the respect I was getting from the band, and he just kind of turned the air in the room really cold, you know. Really competitive, you know, and everybody saw it, but no one knew how to handle it, you know. And I'm kind of the object of this guy's venom, is coldness, you know. And I'm not going to invite him to go outside. I don't really do that stuff, you know. And, I have the mouth to kind of curse him out. That just didn't feel like that, you know. And I finally said to this guy, look, I don't know where you're coming from, but unless you can play the bass like this, sit the fuck down. And he sat the fuck down. That's not terrible grammar, folks. This is a room where I'm not the only man in the sandbox. You know. So, another question? Is that okay?
Thank you. This is great. So great for us to have you here. This is kind of an off-the-wall question, but I saw you play and do a talk at Rutgers University at Livingston campus back in the 1970s. And there was a question answer, and somebody asked you the question of what you, if you had extracurricular activities or what you did when you were not playing jazz. And I seem to remember you said that you collect cacti. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
You still?
Yes.
Good to know.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got 2 working mics now. This is exciting.
That kind of joke, the kind of story question always brings me to the mind of a joke that I'm not quite sure we can share here, but take a chance? Okay. How to say this now? What's the difference between a porcupine and the guy driving a Porsche? One more what? Porcupine has its spikes outside. Yeah, the pricks are outside the porcupine. My sons love that joke, man.
Hi, Mr. Carter. It was great seeing you in Coachella at Thanksgiving again this year. Out of all the people you performed with, was there anybody you wanted to perform with but you never got a chance to perform?
2, Ahmad Jamal, although I did record for his label, but with Junior Mans, a nice record. And Ella Fitzgerald. She's a wonderful singer, and she played with some really good bands and made her sound really good. And she knew a variety of songs, a variety of tempos. Her pitch was always very good. She was always upbeat as I saw her, you know. And I didn't even get a chance to say hello to her. I just knew who she was from my vision of seeing her. And Ahmad Jamal's been my fate for a very long time. He's the first guy who called me the doctor, because we operated on the changes, you know. And we'd always get together conversationally, but his schedule was as big as mine, and as busy as I was, we never had a chance to sit down. So I threatened him one day. I said, Ahmad, hear this. One day I'm going to see your bass player. I'm going to make him go upstairs and watch CNN all night. And I got this. He said, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I see that for a second? I will say this is hilarious. I was announcing a group one night, and Ron was playing with me, and Sir Ron, I said, he's played with practically everybody, but except Tiny Tim. And on cue, he played Tiptoe to the Tulip.
Here. Oh, well, right here.
Yes.
Hi, Ron. I saw you play in Dayton, Ohio, so many years ago. You had your piccolo bass and Buster Williams on bass. Let me tell you, that changed my life. That performance. I think you were there for like a week or 5 days or something. It was an amazing show.
Thank you.
Amazing music. Will you pull the piccolo bass out again at some point?
Well, I have that gig developed into the nonet, which is 4 cellos, bass, piano, percussion or drums, and me playing piccolo bass, which is a cello-sized bass tuned differently than the normal bass. And the reason that the group hasn't been performing because 2 of the cellists have left the concert. You know? But that's my dream. I want to find 2 other cellists who have the same mindset, who don't mind taking instructions from the bass player, and don't mind being the bass player's associate. You know, I'm looking for that. But that band was was Ben Riley, and people came to see that band because we had a real group. There were arrangements, there were tunes. The solos had a limited time, which is my doing. You know? And the drums weren't loud. So it was an interesting group of people to play at a bar and to own the bar crowd just because of our performance. It was great to see that. So at some point we'll do it again. Buster's still asked me the same kind of question, you know, and Ben left the concert, but Louis Max filled in a couple of times. So it's possible that you may walk into a joint or a bar with sawdust on the floor and see these four guys looking older and one of them still sitting down trying to keep that music again. Thank you for the thoughts.
There's a question here.
Yes.
I'm a fan of all your work, but the records that you did with Mal Waldron and Eric Tolfi, that period, speaking of cello, a lot of cello on those, meant a lot to me when I discovered them. I wonder if you could talk at all about that era of your life.
Well, one of the things that, a misnomer actually, is that I'm the only jazz cellist that we speak of who played a real cello. My cello was a real cello physically. It was tuned like a cello. Oscar Pettiford, who became known well for playing the cello, Sam Jones made some records, L.D. Young, they played a cello-sized bass tuned like a bass. So they were not playing the cello as you understand it, if you were a cello player or a cello listener, or a cello user, you know. It was ADGC. I grew up playing that when I was 12 years old. I played the real cello. I have two waiting for me to say, when are you coming back? You know? It's an interesting concept, and because no one took it past the aha minute, and gee, what is that? No one's going past that really to make that instrument have its own voice like it had at one point. I'm this far from 90, so my chance of doing that is pretty slim right now, but Slim left town, so I still got a chance.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Ron.
How are you?
It's an honor to be here with you. I was wondering, you've played so many different styles of music, and you've given 110% of your musicality to all of them. What is it in a song that perhaps has jazz sensibilities, but not necessarily a jazz tune, that has lyrics that would resonate in you, that would motivate you to want to play on it?
I think three things. Number one is the have a seat. Have a seat.
Oh, also.
Number two is a band leader has to respect my choice of notes. Whoever he or she is. When I play this note on the chord, I mean that. I'm not asking you to please accept it. I'm not asking you the cost of this note if you keep messing around with it, what happens to you. This is the note I mean for this spot. And thirdly, my job is why I'm here. I've been called by the people who manage you, who decided that to make your music have the kind of fruition, the kind of feeling, the kind of life that they think this song has to offer. I'm the bass player who they were called to bring your wishes to fruition. Since I have that confidence in why I'm here, why would I not take off and do what they've hired me to do? The issue here really is, how much of me are they going to get? How much of me can they tolerate as opposed to a saxophone player or someone else? What's my relationship with the singer? Is she an experienced singer? Can she play piano? Does she understand my notes, what they do for her? Does she know when to let a note go? Does she know when they come in? You know, those things are all about a freelancer's responsibility. And so whenever I take a job, I'm determined that I belong there. My job is when I'm gone, that they miss me terribly.
Hi, Mr. Carter.
Yes.
So my question is towards your journey of finding the right notes and the career that you've had, you know.
And having.
Yes, you're sorry about that. No, it's completely correct. But my question is, what is your perspective moving through the music and seeing its change over time, and also me being a bass player as well, watching the evolution of the instrument that you're playing, while you're on your own journey, finding the right notes, playing with the amazing musicians that you have played with and continue to play with? What is that perspective like sitting in that seat?
The seat is still warm. I'm waiting for it to get hot again. So I want to be in the hot seat. That's not New York humor, but it's okay. You know. As long as I continue to get calls from strangers who have had the chance to pick from the litter of bass players and have access to tremendous choices of musicians, they've decided that this one bass player is the person who can make this job, this song, this project, take another life. The music may be different, but we got the same. F sharp is the same for everybody. Yeah? Fast and slow, that's universal. My job is to pick the time when this song needs an element that I'm hired to bring, whatever the genre is. You know James Taylor? He's a singer. He has a sister who did a vocal record. I did 2 songs on this record. The bass sounded great that day. I mean, ownership of the bass, it was in charge. Because it was such a good day for the instrument. It allowed me to do things that I would not do for some other kind of group, because that group didn't need this bass presence. So I said the song was about one of the ladies who was one of the suffrage women, you know, a great song. Or to get a call from B.B. King, whose bass player wasn't available for this event, and he said, "Can you make this record with me?" I said, "Well, what key is it in?" Okay. He said, "Wherever I stop." I said, "I'm already there. Let's do this." Or whoever thinks that my ability to make this avant-garde kind of record, just kind of making sounds based on the characters of the picture, or the score, which has some symbols that I have to follow to make this project satisfactory for this person, not knowing what he hears, not knowing him at all other than this project. My job is to kind of go up my sleeve and see if I can pull out some magic, because he wants that kind of stuff happening with this specific music project. I think for all the chances I've had to play with as many genres as there are that I can think of, I've never turned down any of them. I haven't gotten paid for all of them. But that's not the issue here. Can I get better by playing with them? How much can they show me that I don't already know? And when I leave here, this gig, whatever it is, with no level of respect for who the next bass player is, go up this much, because I showed them some of the possibilities that this guy may bring to you that I just bought. You know, just a footnote to the story. Now, I was doing a date with a very famous singer who played really good piano. And he wrote some stuff he's trying to write for a symphony orchestra. So we go to the studio one day with his music, you know, and we go through the parts, and they're really hard, man. You know, if you don't play bass, you don't write that kind of shit on piano. But he did. You know, my job was to say, you know, I got this. We do 3 or 4 takes of this issue, this letter B for 8 measures, you know. We do it one time and it goes pretty good, and he's kind of frown going, he's kind of doing like this, you know, it's like, really. We do it again, and he's kind of shuffling, he's ill at ease, you know. We do it one more time, and he gets, I said, "Wait a minute, what is the problem here? We can fix it, you know." He said, well, Ron, you're not playing all my notes. And I didn't get offended, I got mad. Because he wasn't really understanding what had just taken place. Now, I don't know who he's played with bass players. I don't know who he's been dealing with. But I own those 8 measures. I have no other words, but own is pretty good right now. I own those 8 measures. But just to save some energy and some enthusiasm, let's go to the control room. And I have the engineer just isolate these 8 measures that's in question. Just play it for me, for him. He plays it, you know, he's a piano, you know. So now just take the piano out and play the same thing. My notes are all diamonds. Now, what ultimately was decided that my notes were so in tune with the piano that he couldn't hear the bass. When your pitch is that fucking good, man. Someone touched me, Mr. Note. I missed a note, but I own all those notes in pitch. And he was very embarrassed. I said, why are you embarrassed, man? I play in tune all the time. I get paid for doing that. You an out-of-tune guy? I'm not the guy for you. When I tell you I played it, take that shit to the bank. But I got better that day. I developed more patience. I developed more confidence in my ability. I understood that what it's like to be an adult in a hot situation. And I hurried home and cashed a check. I learned all those things.
I wanted to mention that on Monday, December 15th, we will be screening Ron Carter, Finding the Right Notes. I think, right here at the Orpheum. So this coming Monday, December 15th.
Only thing I wanted to add to that is, as a young artist, individual, when you're calling someone, you have to know who you're calling. So when Elvin Jones, fortunately, I was very honored for him to do my first recording, and we played Opus 1.5, by the way. But anyway, I knew that Elvin Jones was coming, not a drummer. So the same with the bass. You're not calling a bassist, you're calling Ron Carter. So you have to do your homework and not only expect what you think you're expecting, but it's coming another way anyway. So you have to have an open mind, and when you make that call, you got to know who that person is, no matter how, whether it's Roberta Flack or whether it's any individual, you have to know who that individual's coming. Bette Midler or Barbra Streisand, whoever that is, they know that individual's coming and what they're bringing. And if you don't understand that, then you have to make another call and then get a bassist, but not Ron Carter. Correct? I mean, that's the impetus when you're calling. You have to know who you're calling, because they shouldn't have to. If you're calling Mick Jagger, you're not calling a vocalist, you're calling Mick Jagger. It's the same thing with the instrument. Oh, this is yours.
One more. Yeah, one more. Okay.
You played with
Nope.
Miles Davis.
It's not on.
You played with Miles Davis.
No, hold on.
Jack Cole.
Wait, hold
on.
Thank you.
You played with Miles Davis and John
Yes.
Coltrane.
No.
I'm wondering
Coltrane.
if you can tell us a little bit about what that was like.
I didn't play with John Coltrane.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay. How about Miles?
Yeah, how about Miles? Yeah. Are you looking for some kind of page 6 stories that?
No.
Okay. Are you a musician?
I love music.
No. That's not the
I
question.
play music.
Okay. And I ask that kind of question, they'll determine how I answer you. Okay. Miles Davis was a musician. Whatever else you view him as, and whatever rumors that have impressed you, he's still a musician and a wonderful trumpet player. For 5.5 years, I played with Miles often. A lot of choruses, a lot of notes, a lot of tunes. And not once in all those choruses they tell me, hey man, don't play that. He understood how important my notes were and how to handle it. And it was like, he did say it one time. We were doing a gig in San Francisco, in California, at the Shelley Man had a club in Los Angeles. And we were playing like Autumn Leaves. The last chord of this tune is a G minor chord. G, B flat, D. Okay. I decided I had enough. So on G, B flat, I played G, B natural. I made it a major 7, major triad. He finished the solo and I feel the tug on my coat. We're still playing the Dwayne Shorter solo. Now Miles is about 5'9", 5'10", I'm 6'3", so I'm looking down at this guy saying, what the fuck is this going on? He said, hey, Ron. I said, what? I'm still playing the tune. He said, what is that note? I said, it's B natural making it the G7, and don't talk to me while I'm playing. I can't do both. So for the next 5.5 years, he never said one note on the bandstand. He was gracious. He was sensitive. He loved my kids. We talked about things other than music. We never talked about music at all. We talked about Harlem politics. We talked about the stock market. We talked about sports, boxers, but never about music. And that was, I liked that because he didn't need to know what I was thinking. You hear what I'm thinking on the bandstand. You hear it every night. That's enough. I'm okay with that. He's a very good cook. And I samples from his cook. It's okay, you know. He's a boss, so he must be a good cook. No. My friend, and I miss him dearly. This year will be his 100th anniversary, which is amazing too. I can't believe that's gone. He's gone that long. I miss him, and we had some great times. He trusted. In our term, that's called a straw boss. That's the guy who does all the important stuff besides playing great. He decided that at one point I was going to be that person. That thought came to him when we had the first rehearsal at his house in his basement. I met Herbie for the first time, officially, Tony Williams and George Coleman. Miles played a couple of notes, and he said, I'm going upstairs. He said, hey, Ron, you're in charge. I set the tone for every gig for the 5.5 years. I was in charge. Now one of them got to say, who made you in charge? Or, I am in charge. Had a great time. I love those guys, and I was still in charge. Thank you.
Well, listen, I think it's, I just want to say real quick on behalf of the Upstate Films, thanks for granting me this opportunity to speak
Thank you.
with my hero and mentor. Thank you. We didn't even talk about, which we won't, for all the saxophonists out here, he recorded with Coleman Hawkins.
Yes, and Rockdale Davis.
That's right.
Now I was going to hear about the saxophone.
Oh no, that was just that was the epilogue.
Okay. Well, we can go walk over to the bookstore now, if y'all like. I think we're done with questions, and thank y'all so much. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you.